What's good, yeah? Anderson Emerald here to talk very quickly about Bayanda Walaza. Now, this morning I dropped a video about Akani Simbine and kind of his journey through 2025, as well as, his history at the Olympics and World Championships, and kind of how this year he looks absolutely unstoppable. And in my personal opinion, looks like it's going to be hard to see three people actually beat him at the World Championships later on this year. Now, things of course can change, but check out that full video. But it reminded me that this Saturday, we're actually going to see Bayanda Walaza, also from South Africa. He'll be competing in the 100 at the Zagreb Continental Tour meeting out in Croatia. And this is notable because this is actually going to be Walaza's first 100-meter race with senior athletes individually in Europe in his entire career. The only other times that he's competed in quote-unquote high-profile 100-meter races with senior athletes specifically are down in South Africa, of course, at his national championships at various different years, right? But then also last year at the African Games out in Cameroon that unfortunately, didn't go so well in terms of the infrastructure and the management of the meet. You saw let's see, Taboho, he pulled out of the meet there, but he competed there. So that was the only other time that he's competed with senior athletes in a one-off or whatever you want to call it, circuit 100-meter race. Of course, he's a world U20 champion from last year in both the 100 and the 200, but that's again against U20 athletes. This is going to be his first senior race, so it's pretty intriguing to me, and I wanted to just quickly take a look at this race and kind of look at where Walaza may be going. And then also Julien Alfred is going to be in this at this meet as well in the 200. She won't have as much competition, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's dive in. Again, men's 100 meters at the Zagreb Continental Tour meeting in Croatia. You have Walaza competing here. Now, in 2025, he has already run a season's best and personal best of 9.99 seconds. That was the world lead earlier in the year, and that kind of set off a lot of conversations on, the progression for Walaza, him picking off right where he left off in 2024 going into this year. He's still extremely young, right? He's still, 20 or 19? He's actually just turned 19 years old this year, so he's still extremely young, still a U20 athlete. So to be hitting times like this really gave the track and field world a lot of excitement on okay, what's possible for him. Now in this race, he'll be going up against a decent field, right? This isn't a diamond league level field. We're not going to see Fred Curley, let's see Toboho, Akani Simbine, right? Those guys will be running at the Rabat Diamond League on Sunday, whereas here we're going to see Walaza going up against Louis Hinchcliffe, the 2022 NCAA champion in the 100, represents Great Britain. You're going to see Elijah Hall. He was a former NCAA champion from 2018 indoors in the 60 and the 200, still the second fastest man all time indoors in the 200. You'll have Reiner Mena from Cuba, who's kind of like a breakout athlete in 2022 when he ran 19.63 seconds at altitude out in Switzerland. And then you'll also have someone like Kobe Hilton. Kobe Hilton, he's going to be in the mix. He's coming from the United States. Check out the interview I did with him during the indoor season prior to him going to the World Indoor Champs. You'll have a couple others, right? You'll have Owen Ansah, who runs sub 10. You'll have Henrik Larsson. You have a couple other guys in the field, but again, this isn't a Diamond League level field or anything like that. What I am excited about is what will Walaza be able to do in this field, and what is he going to be able to do going into the future? Now, just for a little bit of context, like I said, this will be his first major 100-meter race with senior athletes, outside of the African Games last year. And we could take a look in 2024, and those African Games last year in Cameroon, they actually didn't go well in any capacity for various different athletes. We can see that Joe Fambole actually did get the win at the African Games. You saw Emmanuel Esame, Benjamin Richardson, right? These are three relatively prominent guys if you follow African athletics, or if you just follow athletics, track and field in general. But behind them, you also did see that Tabogo, he competed here in the heats. He ran 10.29 seconds in the heats. But then after the heats, he publicly came out and was like, yo, the conditions here are terrible. And it's just not, suitable for athletes to compete at a high level competition, right? A regional competition for all African athletes. Just it wasn't conducive for that. So Letsile, he just skipped out. He was, of course, qualified to the semifinals, but he just left. He was like, nah, I'm not competing. So he didn't start here. But on the flip side, you did see that Walaza, he did compete here. So in the heats, he ran 10.15 seconds, which is a strong performance for him early in 2024. And then he got to the semifinals and he unfortunately didn't qualify into the final. He did run 10.26 seconds. So this was his first taste at individual 100-meter competition with other senior athletes. Outside of that, his, career has essentially been in South Africa, so competing at, South African championships or U20 championships, regular championships, et cetera, et cetera. That's what he's been doing. When he goes internationally, he competes on the relays. So at the World Relays in Bahamas or out at the Olympic Games in France. Individually, last year, we saw that he dominated the U20 championships in both the 100 and the 200, swept the 2 sprints, but that's against U20 athletes. In 2025, we saw that, he's already competed all out in South Africa, including the South African championships. He did get second place, I think, here in the final. So he just missed out on that actual win, even though he had originally run that sub 10-second performance. But then when he went overseas for the first time this year, he went to China and competed on the World Relays. So as I'm kind of noting, he hasn't competed against senior athletes individually in the 100, and this will be his first taste of that, his first kind of like step into those waters. Yes, again, not a Diamond League field, not against the Tabojos or the, Fred Curleys or the Akani Simbines, not against those guys yet, but this is a stepping stone towards that. So I'm excited to see how he does actually show up and perform here, regardless of what the actual result is. What I assume is he'll compete here and then he'll go on to a few other competitions. I don't know if he'll be able to get into some Diamond League competitions yet. That's still a ways to go. He has run sub 10s, so it's possible, but we'll see how that actually does play out. So I'm looking to see him here. I'm looking to see what Louis Hinchcliffe is able to do. He just ran, I think yesterday on the 21st in Italy. He ran like 10.6, so nothing too crazy, but he'll be in the conversation. Elijah Hall, he's kind of getting his form back. In 2022, that was the last year that he was fully healthy. He ran sub 10 seconds, I think, on 2 occasions that year. He also ran the third leg on the USA's 4x1 that got the silver medal at the World Championships. Now he's kind of getting back into form. He's run I think this year he's run 10.06 seconds this year, so we'll see how that kind of does play out. And then all these other guys, Owen Ansah, I apologize for the pronunciation, but he's opening up his season. Hinchcliffe, they don't have his time from a day ago. Rainer Mena, he had that 19.63 all the way back in 2022, which was kind of it was a huge surprise, especially from a Cuban athlete, but it was at altitude. So, we'll see how this field does actually play out. The only other athlete I did want to take a look at on this, and I'll link the start list, start list in the description below, is Julien Alfred, and she'll be competing in the 200 here, but not against any notable competition. This will be essentially a training run for Julien Alfred. She'll be here. She's already run 21.81 seconds this season, which she ran down at Florida, which was not too far off her personal best of 21.86 seconds. The rest of the field, no one has broken, 22.5 is the next fastest personal best. So again, nothing too competitive. What we've seen from Julien this year is that she ran some longer distances, longer sprints indoors, the 300 and the 400. She then went outdoors, ran the 4x4 in the 300, and then she dropped down to that 200 where she ran 21.88. So that was all the way back on April 18th. So now she's going to be coming here at the end of May to actually kickstart her European tour outdoors with the 200 in Zagreb. I suspect that after this, she's probably going to go to some of the Diamond Leagues. I think she might be at the Rome Diamond League. Someone in the comments could probably fact check me. Not sure if she's confirmed there or not. And then we'll see her kind of go throughout the season. She, of course, is targeting those World Championships at the end of the year. She would like to, get the gold medal in the 100 and then potentially step things up and get the gold medal in the 200. The 200, of course, is going to be more challenging than the 100, but that's her ultimate goal as we look forward to 2025. So excited to see how Julien Alfred does play out here. But again, just a very quick video. Wanted to talk about Bayanda Walaza specifically and him making kind of this big step up. I'm talking as if he's a little child, like he's taking a big step to, in this 100, but excited to see how he does progress. He's one of my favorite rising stars in the 100 internationally, especially coming from South Africa. South Africa has had so much development over the years, over the past couple years. Of course, you've always seen some guys, they've always been a relatively prominent nation, but I feel like they're having a true explosion across the board in various different sprints. In 1908, you actually did have the Olympic champion in the 100 meters was a South African athlete, right? It was Reggie Walker. He won that gold medal, and that was the first time South Africa was represented on the podium. Now, to be fair, that's a completely different era, right? We're literally talking about the 4th ever Olympic Games in the modern era, from 1896 all the way to 1908. So it's different than this current era, but just wanted to share that South Africa has been at the top of the podium at one time in the past. past. It's been a very long time since then, but you know, to see some of these younger athletes like Walaza really come into the fold, it's exciting. So let me know what you think about Bayanda Walaza and his, you know, again, quote unquote, you know, a senior debut in the 100 this weekend in Zagreb, as well as Julien Alfred in the 200. Again, she's just kind of breaking things off after a month back in training to really get her European circuit races going. So let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always do appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.